Hey, my name is Felipe and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we will be using the ESP32 CAM. We will be using this device over here. I'm going to show you what it is, I'm going to show you how to set it up and running, and I'm also going to show you how to use it in a computer vision project. And now let's get started. So this is exactly the device we will be using today, the ESP32 CAM. It's a very small and a very affordable microcontroller with a camera. Microcontroller means that it's a small computer. So it's a very small and affordable computer with a camera. That's amazing. That's exactly the type of things we need in computer vision, because there are many situations, there are many projects in which we want to be able to capture a video stream, and we also want to be able to do some processing on that video stream, right? So this type of devices is amazing, and this is going to help us a lot in our projects in computer vision. Now let me show you some details regarding the ESP32 CAM device we will be using today, but first let me tell you exactly how much it costs. Because I told you it's a very affordable device, let me tell you exactly how much it costs. This is the exact same one I bought, and it cost me 15 euros. So 15 euros is very affordable. I bought it in Amazon Germany, but if I go to Amazon.com, which is, if I'm not mistaken, these are listings from the United States, you can see that it's even more affordable. Here we have a listing of two different devices for $16, so $8 each. This is very affordable. So this is only for you to get some idea regarding the price, regarding exactly how much it costs. And now let me show you exactly how it works. Let me show you exactly how we are going to use it in our project today. So this is an ebook I got for free when I bought this device. So I'm going to walk you through this ebook, through some of the figures in this ebook, because I think the figures are very nice looking, and they are going to help us a lot in this project. So let me show you. You can see that we have many different pins, and all of these different pins, we are going to use them in order to connect to the device and in order to be able to do many different type of things. This is not going to be a very comprehensive tutorial on the ESP32 CAM. No, this is going to be a somehow introductory tutorial, so I am not going to explain you in detail what exactly all of these pins are about, right? I'm just going to explain the few pins we will be using today, which are these two over here, which are called 5 volts and ground, right? 5V and GND. These two pins over here, which we are going to use in order to power the device, right? This is going to be the power supply. And then everything that's here, from IO12 to IO4, all these pins over here, we are not going to use them in this tutorial. So I'm not going to explain exactly what they are, what we can do with them, no, because we're not going to use them in this tutorial. Then let's go here to these two pins over here, U0R and U0T. These two pins over here, they have to do with the data transmission. Remember, if we are going to work in this project, we definitely want to be able to send data, to transmit data in and out of the device, right? We definitely need to be able to do it, otherwise nothing is going to work. And this is exactly how we are going to be able to do it, right? How we're going to be able to transmit data in and out of the device. We're going to use these two pins over here, U0R and U0T. And then we're also going to use this pin over here, which is IO0. And we're also going to use this one, which is GND, which is ground, right? It's exactly the same ground we have over here. So GND, it's very easy. Ground, it's like, don't pay attention, it doesn't matter. Now this other pin, IO0, this is not going to be so easy to understand as everything else I already showed you, right? These two pins over here, 5 volts and ground, they has to do with the power supply. U0R and U0T, it has to do with the data transmission. Very easy to understand. IO0 That's going to be a bit more weird. That's going to be a bit harder to understand. So I'm going to explain it later in this tutorial when I show you an example and when I show you how everything is connected. And there it's going to be much more clear. But for now, just keep in mind that this is another pin we are going to use today, and it may be a bit harder to understand what exactly the pin is for. The ESP32 CAM is definitely the most important device we will be using today, but we are also going to be using this other device, which is an FTDI connector. And the reason why we are going to use this other device is because we want to be able to connect to the ESP32, because we want to be able to supply the energy, right, all the power supply, also the data transmission and everything else. And in order to be able to do it, it's going to be much easier if we use one of these. Let me show you exactly how this is going to work. Let's go through this other page over here, which is how to connect everything together. So I'm also going to use this figure, which is in the ebook I downloaded from the ESP32 CAM I bought. This device we have on the left, I'm not sure if it's also an FTDI connector or if it's like a different type of connector, but it works exactly the same. The connections are done exactly the same as in the one I have over here with me. So it's going to be a good figure to use only to show you how to connect everything and how to plug all the wires and everything else. So the first two pins we are going to connect are these two over here, which have to do with the power supply. So you can see that this one, which is 5 volts, we are going to connect it to this pin over here, which is 5 volts. Then ground, we are going to connect it to the ground in the FTDI connector. And then moving to this other part, which is the data transmission, you can see that we are connecting this pin over here with this one, which is TXD, and then this other one to this other pin, which is RXD. So that's basically how to connect all the wires, these two wires, which has to do with the power supply, and this has to do with the data transmission. And now let me explain, now it's time to explain what exactly these two pins are about, right? What exactly, I mean, I told you we were going to use them, and now you can see how we're going to connect them. We're going to connect this one, the IO0, to the ground. This has to do with the way the ESP32 works. By the way it works, we are going to write all the code we want to execute in the ESP32, and once all the code is ready, we are going to upload the code into the ESP32 CAM. And once the code is in the ESP32, the only thing the device is going to do is to execute all the instructions in our code one at a time, forever, in a while true, forever. So it's going to execute all the instructions, and once it reaches the end, it's going to start over and it's going to execute all the instructions again, and then it's going to start over, and so on forever, right? So you can see that we have two different states. We are going to be either uploading the code or we are going to be executing the code. We cannot do these two things at the same time. No, we're going to do either one thing or the other. We're going to be either uploading code or we are going to be executing the code that's in the ESP32, right? That's very important to understand. And the way we are going to tell the ESP32 CAM in what state we are in is by using the IO0 pin. Right? So if we connect the IO0 pin to ground, means we are in the uploading code state. If we do not connect the IO0 pin to ground, if we do not connect it, means the ESP32 is going to be executing all the code that we have uploaded, right? So that's the way we are going to control in what state we are currently in. And that's exactly why we are using these two pins over here. I hope that was clear. Let me know in the comments below if you think my explanation was clear. If it wasn't clear, I will try to make it a bit more clear in the comments, or perhaps some of the amazing members of our community can help you understand it a bit better. But I think it was clear enough, right? We have two different states, and the way we control in what state we are currently in is by using these pins over here, right? Now let's continue. Okay, and now let me show you how to do all the physical connection, all the wiring and everything into the ESP32. Let me show you. When you receive the device, it's very likely you are going to receive the camera separately from the ESP32, right? You're going to receive the two components like this, and you need to put them together. So let me show you. In the ESP32, you need to take this black thing over here and to move it like this, right? Like this. And here is where you are going to put the camera. Something like this. Okay. There it's ready. Okay, and that's pretty much all for connecting the camera. And now let me show you how to do all the wiring with the FTDI connector. Something that's very important regarding the connector is that things may be, all these pins over here may be located in a different position than the one I show you in the PDF file, right? If I take a look at the names, the first one starting over here is ground, then the third one is 5 volts, and then these two pins over here are the ones we are going to use for the data transmission. So please pay attention to your specific FTDI connector and take a look at the names of each one of the pins that you're going to see here, right? I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Perhaps I can do like a close-up later in the edition, so you can see that this is where you are going to find the names for all the different pins. Please pay attention and please make sure you are connecting the pins correctly. Okay, so now let's move on. The first pin I'm going to connect is 5 volts, which in my case is over here. This is my 5 volts pin in the FTDI, and I'm going to connect it to the 5 volts pin in the ESP32, which is here. Okay, now let's connect ground. Ground in my FTDI connector is over here, and I have to connect it here to ground. Okay, now let's move on with the pins for the data transmission. This one, which is TXD, I'm going to connect this pin over here. Then I'm going to connect RXD with this other pin over here. Okay, so remember, these two are the pins we are going to use for the data transmission, and then these two pins over here are the power supply, and everything is okay. Please make sure you don't make a mistake, most importantly with these two pins over here, which are the power supply, because if you make a mistake and you switch them around, if you connect the ground in 5 volts and 5 volts in ground, then you are just going to destroy the device. So please make sure everything is properly connected and you don't make any mistake. Okay, everything seems to be working just fine. Everything seems to be ready. The only thing we need to connect next is this other pin over here. Remember, we need to connect I0 to ground. because now we are going to upload the code we want to execute in the ESP32 CAM. Once we have already uploaded the code and once we are ready to execute the code in the ESP32, then we are going to remove this connection over here. Remember what I told you, that this one over here is only for telling the ESP32 in what state is currently in, right? But let's take it one step at a time. So for now, I'm just going to connect it like this. And that's pretty much all. Okay, now the only thing we need to do is to connect the FTDI connector to our computer through this USB connector. It's a mini USB connector, so I'm just going to connect it like this. And you can see that everything seems to be working just fine. Okay, now let's continue. And now moving on, let me show you exactly how we are going to upload code into the ESP32 CAM, and also let me show you what's exactly the code we are going to use in order to access the camera, right? In order to get the camera video stream, right? Let me show you. So we're going to be using the Arduino IDE. If you have not already downloaded the Arduino IDE, it's very easy. The only thing you need to do is to go to the Arduino official website and to just download Arduino for your specific OS, right? This is very easy, very straightforward. And once everything is installed, you are going to see something like this. Let me show you. The first thing you need to do is to go to File, Preferences, and you need to go to this part over here where it says Additional Boards Manager URLs. You're going to click here and you are going to copy and paste this URL you can see over here. I'm going to paste this URL in the description of this video, so you can just go there and you can just copy the URL and paste it here, right? Please make sure to do it, because otherwise nothing is going to work. Once everything is here, you just press OK, OK, and you can continue. Then you need to go to Tools, Board, then Board Manager, and you're going to search for ESP32. You're going to have these two options, and you need to select this one over here, ESP32 by Express If Systems, and you are going to install it, right? In my case, I have already installed it, so I'm not going to install it again, but please remember to do it before you continue. Once everything is installed, you're going to get back to Tools, then Board, ESP32, and you are going to select this one over here. You can see that there are many options, but please be sure that you select the right one, which is this one over here, AI Thinker ESP32 CAM. You click there, and then the only thing you need to do is to go to File, Examples, and then go to ESP32 Camera and Camera Web Server. We are going to be using one of these already created examples in order to get the camera video stream, in order to access the video stream. So I'm just going to take this window over here. The first thing I'm going to do is to comment this instruction, and I am going to uncomment this other one over here, which is the camera model we will be using in the tutorial, which is camera model AI Thinker. Please remember to uncomment this instruction over here. Then we're going to connect the ESP32 CAM to our Wi-Fi network. So this is where you need to type your network SSID and also your password. And yeah, this is very simple. So I'm just going to do it for my network, which is something like this. Okay, and now we are going to take this code and we're going to upload the code into the ESP32 CAM. Now, in order to do so, we are going here, Tools, Port, and we are going to select the USB port in which we have connected the ESP32. In my case, this is the port, and that's pretty much all. Now I'm going to click here in Upload. I'm going to have an error. I know I'm going to have an error, but I'm going to do it anyway so I can show you something. And you can see I had an error because it says that the permission denied. Basically, I need to provide my port with the necessary permissions in order to be able to continue. In my case, I am a Linux user, so this is how I am going to provide the port with the necessary permissions, right? This is the command I am going to execute. This may change depending on your specific OS. This is very important. Okay, in my case that was ready. Now I'm going to click Upload again. Okay, now everything is ready. Everything is okay. The only thing we need to do now, remember, is to disconnect the IO0 pin. And I am going to push the reset button. Now going back here, I'm going to open the serial terminal, the serial monitor, and make sure this option over here is selected, 115200. Please make sure this one is selected, otherwise you may see a lot of gibberish and a lot of very weird characters which don't really mean anything. So if that's selected, then the only thing you need to do is to press the reset button, and you can see that now we have a lot of information here. It's connecting to the Wi-Fi, and very soon here we are going to have this address which we are just going to copy and paste in our browser, and this is going to allow us to visualize the video stream and to make sure everything is working properly. So I'm just going to click here on Start Stream, and you can see I am getting something. I am getting a video stream from the camera. Right now I am looking at the camera and everything seems to be working just fine. I can adjust the resolution over here. I'm going to select this one. I have been testing this camera earlier today when I was preparing this tutorial, and I had a better lighting back then because now it's a bit dark, but earlier today the lighting was much better and the quality was much better too. I mean, it was very clear that the quality was like reasonably well, right, considering it's a very small camera and it's very affordable and so on. I think it's a very good quality nevertheless. So this is pretty much all. We were able to execute the code in the ESP32, so everything seems to be working just fine. Now let's continue with the next step in this process, because now that we are getting this video stream in our computer, we wanna do something with it, right? We wanna be able to execute some process with this video stream, because that's the most interesting and the most fun part in this tutorial. We wanna go to the computer vision part in this tutorial. Well, everything we have done so far is also computer vision, but this is like computer vision software, right? So let's go to PyCharm. I have already created a PyCharm project for this tutorial, and we are going to do something very simple. We're just going to get the video stream using OpenCV, and then we're going to detect all the objects we detect in the frames from the video stream, and we're just going to plot all the objects we detect on top of the frame, and we're going to visualize it, and that's going to be pretty much all. It's a very simple process, but we want to make sure we are able to do something with it. So let me show you. The first thing we need to do actually is to install all the requirements, which are Ultralytics and OpenCV. We are going to use a pre-trained model from Ultralytics from Yolov8. So these are the two libraries we need in this process. Let me show you. The only thing we're going to do is from Ultralytics, we're going to import YOLO. And from OpenCV, we are going to import the library OpenCV. Okay, we're going to define a new variable, which is model, and this is going to be YOLO. And we're going to take the pre-trained model of Yolov11, the version Nano. Okay, this was the model trained on the I think this is not on the Coco dataset. This is in one of the custom datasets from Ultralytics, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't remember quite well how many objects we can detect, but it's a lot of objects. So now let's do something very simple. I'm going to define a new object, which is cap, and this is video capture. And we need to specify the URL from our video stream, which is this one over here, plus I need to add something more. I need to add this at the end, and that's it. This is going to work just fine. So I have defined this object, which is the one we are going to use in order to get frames from the video stream. And this is what we are going to do. This is going to be very simple. I'm just going to set it like a while true. Let's do it right. I'm going to define a new variable, which is red. It's going to be initialized as true, and then we're going to say while red. This is something like red frame equal to cap.read, right? We are getting frames, we are reading frames from the camera. And as long as if red is true, then we are going to continue. We are going to apply Yolov11, the object detector Yolov11 Nano, on the frame. So we are going to do something like this, and this is going to be enough, if I'm not mistaken. And then we are just going to iterate in all the detections we got. A very quick comment. Remember, we are processing a video stream which we are getting from the camera, and ideally we want to do everything to work on real time, right? We want to process everything on real time, and we want to get the most recent frame from the camera. Ideally, that's what we want to do, right? But in order to take the most recent frame from the camera and to make sure we're always processing the most recent frame, we need to do some things on top. We need to do some things which are going to make the script a bit more complex, and we don't want complexity in this tutorial. We want to make everything as simple as possible. So yeah, everything is simple for now. This is like an introductory tutorial, and we can definitely make things a bit more complex in the future tutorials. But for now, let's take one step at a time. So only remember that if we want to get the most recent frame from the camera, we need to do something else, which we are not doing right now. So we are just going to be reading frames from the camera. We don't know if it's the most recent one or if it's not. And I think it's not going to be the most recent one, but it doesn't matter. Let's continue. And now let's iterate in all the bounding boxes. Let's do it like this. For bounding box in detections, this is a list, and we're going to get the first element. If I'm not mistaken, this is boxes XY, XY, and this is going to be X1, Y1, X2, Y2 equal to bounding box. Now I'm going to draw a rectangle on top of the frame. This is int X1, int y1, I'm just going to copy and paste and change these indexes over here. It's been a while I don't draw a rectangle, so I don't remember quite well how it was. We need to input the frame for sure, so the frame goes here. Then I think it was the color, if I'm not mistaken. Let's make it green. And then the thickness, let's make it 2, or let's make it 5. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And now the only thing we need to do is to show the frame Let's call the window frame like this. Okay, and then we are going to plot the frame for 25 milliseconds before we move to the next frame. That's going to work just fine if I'm not mistaken, but let's see what happens. I am going to oh, I think I have something wrong over here. Okay, it's not a big mistake, it's only an unnecessary parenthesis. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, we are getting something, and you can see that we are also plotting something. I think 25 milliseconds was a bit too much, but you guys can see that we are just displaying the frame, we are plotting the bounded boxes, we are just, everything is working just fine. So we are able to do something with the video stream we are getting from the camera. Now, please pay attention to everything we have done, because we are capturing the video stream from our edge device, right? We are capturing the video stream from the ESP32 CAM. We are sending the video stream over the Wi-Fi network, and we are getting the video stream from another device in the network, which is my computer. And then we are processing the video stream from the computer. So the entire process is a lot, and it's going to help us a lot to do many different type of things in future tutorials, right? From here we can definitely do something like a surveillance camera, and we can do something like many different type of projects. So this is what I wanted to show you in this tutorial, this entire process of how to work with this ESP32 CAM, and this is going to be all for today. See you in the next video.